Good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming here today. We've got some very exciting things to share with you. But first and foremost, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Ukrit Pongsathaporn. I'm the lead hardware engineer here at Line. I'm currently the project manager for Line Beacon and Line Things. Now, a little fun fact about me. In 3 words, I love games. Really, I do. But in 4 words, I love breaking games. You see, it all started with a question I had to myself a couple years back. Do all software need to run on hardware? In the end, I realized, yes, they actually do. Software can't run without a hardware. And so I realized that if you fully understand both the software that you're running and the hardware you're running it on, you can do some truly amazing things. But I'll save that for another day. Today, I'll be talking about our vision of an IoT platform open for everyone. Next, I'll talk about Line Things. And lastly, I'll show you how you can get started with Line Things. Our vision. Traditionally, a user can interact with anything within Line using the messaging API. They can request information to a bot, and the bot can reply back using reply messages and reply tokens. A bot is also able to notify the users using push messages. Now, if we were to implement an IoT solution using messaging API, it would look something like this. You'd first need an IoT device that is connected to the internet, which then is connected to your own custom server. From there, your server can provide a service within the Line application so that the user has access to the IoT device. Now, the biggest drawback here is that the IoT device must always be connected to the internet in order to work. And so in 2016, we decided to take our very first step into the hardware world and release Line Beacon. How many of you have heard of Line Beacon? Show of hands? Yeah, that's quite a lot of you. Cool. So what Line Beacon is that it's a device that sends over data through Bluetooth, and Line application then picks up that information and then sends you webhook events. So the features of Line Beacon is that it allows you, the developer, to get relative location of the user relative to the device, which then lets you segment and specify only users near your designated area. And thus, you can provide a more relevant and useful service for your users. But we didn't want to stop there, so we decided to give ourselves some new challenges. We wanted something that can communicate bidirectionally between the users and the device, so that the users can communicate with the device. We wanted to support most, if not all, of the Bluetooth devices that exist in this world, whether it's your smartwatch, the weight scale you have at home, or the light bulbs around you. And lastly, we'd like to have a seamless integration between Bluetooth devices for our users. But these challenges soon proved to us that in order for us to provide a better service, we needed to start from scratch. So we went back to the drawing board. And in order to make this happen, we would need to take our next step. And so we've decided on creating a new product to build an entirely brand new platform using BLE. And thus we gave birth to a completely new product in which we call Line Things. Now you all might be wondering, just what is Line Things? What's all this hype about? Well, Line Things is an IoT platform within Line's ecosystem. It's open to everyone. It is a bridge to connect users, devices, and services. And it is a universal hub for all your IoT devices and online services. Let me give you a quick overview. This is what Line Things will look like. So, you'll first need to connect to a device. Once you're connected through Line app, you now have two ways to interact with the device, whether through messaging API or through a LIFF app using LIFF BLE. Now, in order to connect to a device, the device must first broadcast a unique identifier over so that the line application can then scan for that data and then show the user a list of devices for you to connect to. In Bluetooth, this is called advertising. This is how it will look like for the user. The user will first need to scan the QR code for the product, which then they will be brought over to the device link screen. From there, they will see a list of devices that they can connect to. Once selected, they will be prompted to pair with a device. Upon a successful connection, you then can now use the device. And so we have an example LIFF app just right over there. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can interact with a device in two ways, messaging API and LIFF app. Now, as you may know, currently LIFF does not support any kind of hardware implementation. And so we needed to add in a plugin for LIFF, in which we call Bluetooth plugin or BLE plugin. It is an extension of the LIFF SDK, which gives you access to the native Bluetooth components within your smartphone. This allows the developer to develop LIFF apps that can then connect to Bluetooth devices. Now, I know that hardware may be very convoluted to use, and you might think, oh, I've never done any hardware before. I don't think I can understand this. It's actually quite easy. To implement LIFF BLE into LIFF, it only takes a couple of lines. As you can see, it's fairly simple. But let me break this down for you. The first two lines are all about connection. This is the connection process. By calling liff.bluetooth.requestDevice, the function then scans for available devices near you and returns the first device it can detect. Then you can call a .get.connect to the device to connect to it. Once connected to the device, you now have access to the data within the device. From here, you can access the primary service and the characteristics within those services. To those of you who might not understand Bluetooth services and characteristics well enough, let me give you a quick explanation. Basically, services are for each purpose that you want your Bluetooth device to serve, such as, say, you have one device that can turn on the air conditioner and then turn on the fan. You would not want to share the same service together. You would have separate services. Each service can then have multiple characteristics. In order to make a device for line things, you'll need to have a line things service with a read characteristic for its unique identifier. You're then free to create your own custom services with any of the available read, write, and notify characteristics. Now, just what are the differences between read, write, and notify? So, the read characteristic allows line application to read data from the device, and vice versa, which means that the device can also read information straight from the line application. However, what if we want to update something within the device? Line application can then use the write characteristic to write information into the Bluetooth device. And lastly, what if there are changes within the Bluetooth device and you would like to know about it instantly, immediately? The device can then send notifications over through the notify characteristic into the line app. Now, to implement these characteristics is actually quite simple. To implement the read characteristic, once connected to the characteristic, just call a .read value. It's that simple. Likewise, for the write characteristic, just call .write value. Notice that I've used a text encoder here. For Bluetooth, the way it communicates to each other is through bytes, so that's why we needed the text encoder. And lastly, for the notify characteristic, you'll need to add an event listener to a characteristic value change event, and then make sure that you have enabled all the notifications. Now, I'm sure all of you are eager to try out line things. So let me give you a quick getting started guide. Here are the requirements you'll need to get started with Line Things. First, you'll need a provider. Secondly, you'll need a channel to go with that provider. Next, you'll need to create a LIFF app, and then add that LIFF app to your channel. From there, you're able to register your product, and then you can create your BLE device. So, let's get started. If you head on over to developers.line.biz, you can start logging in by looking at the top right over there. There's a small button. Then you can log in using your Line account. Here's mine. Once logged in, you'll be at the provider list page, and from here you can create a new provider, just on the top right. Now, to create a provider, it's really simple. All you need to do is think of a name. I'm pretty sure that's not hard. From there, just confirm, making sure the name is still the one you want. You have a chance to go back here, because once you've confirmed it, you can't change it. So after making the provider, you're now free to create your channel. In this example, to use Line Things, you'll need to use the messaging API. So you'll need to create a channel using messaging API. Just like the provider, fill in the forms, but do make sure that the plan you're on is on developer trial. After you've created your channel, congratulations, you're a proud owner of a new channel. Give yourself a pat in the back. Oh, and don't forget, you'll need to add the channel as a friend, otherwise you won't have access to the channel, of course. Now, GitHub has a pretty cool feature called GitHub Pages. Has anyone used it before? Yeah, cool. So with GitHub Pages, you can actually host your LIFF application straight from GitHub. In this example, I'll be using the Line Things starter application, in which you can actually go into our GitHub page and download the code as well. Once forked, you can head on over to Settings, scroll down, find GitHub Pages, and select the source as your master branch. From there, you can click Save, and you'll be provided with a URL. You'll need this for the next step. So, in order for you to add your LIFF app into your channel, you'll need to do this post command. Now, I'm pretty sure you're all quite familiar with LIFF apps already, so I won't go through every single detail, but just to let you know, the LIFF app URL that you get from the previous step will be used here. And do make sure you add in features BLE true. This will enable the LIFF BLE feature for your LIFF app. Otherwise, you won't have access to Line Things. Oh, sorry. Right, upon success, you'll be provided with a LIFF app, which then you can use to register your product. Here, you will be able to provide a name for your product. This name chosen here will be shown on the device link screen. So do make sure you use a name that you recognize, not like headphones. And also use the LIFF app ID that you have been provided with from the previous step. Now, after you register a product, you'll be given this kind of response. What you need to take note here is the service UUID and the two other UUIDs. These are your specific unique identifiers for your own product. So, now that we get the software part of the way, let's get our hands on some hardware. Does anyone know Arduino IDE? Has anyone heard of it? Yeah, I think it's quite a good entry level. So using the example code straight from the Line Things starter, this is for the ESP32 dev kit. You'll need to open up the example code and then change the user service UUID to your generated UUID. Once done, you can upload the code into the development board, and now you're ready to develop for Line Things. So I'd like to give you a quick demonstration of how Line Things would work. So here's my iPhone. As you can see, I'm a very minimalistic person. I only have one app. That's all you need, actually. So from here, I'm going to go to my QR code reader. I'm going to scan on my product that I want to connect to. Sorry, there's some glare. There. And then you'll be brought over to the Line Things screen. From here, you'll be able to see all the available devices near you. In this case, I only have one device near me right now called Line Things Starter, default firmware. It's actually right over here. This is what it looks like. So I'm going to connect to the device. And there I go. I've now connected to the device. Thank you. So to use the device, all I have to do is just click Use Device Now, and it will launch my LIFF application. Once the device is connected, you can see it says Device Connected. It will read the unique characteristic provided by the Line Things service. Now, there are two things I've added in here, which is a button state reader and an LED switch. So if I push on the button, you might not be able to see me pushing on the button, so I have an LED represented. Can everyone see? Yeah? Yep. So as you can see, the button state is now pressed. I'm holding onto the button. Once I let go, it's now released. Yeah, and I have a button clicker too. So you can see how many times I click on the device. As you can see, it's very responsive because all of this is just done right here locally. Now, there's also a switch for the LED. If I tap on switch LED on, the LED comes on, right? Likewise, I can switch it off and it goes off. So if you want to try it, you can go to our GitHub, search for Line Things Starter, and get your hands on it. Right, so I'm sure you all are very excited to start creating your own devices. And we're we can't wait to see what you guys make out of it. I'd like to add one more thing though. Within this upcoming year, we would like to add one more feature to Line Things. And that is automated BLE communication. With automated BLE communication, you will be able to provide a seamless experience of Line Things for your user without the user's interaction. It will make Line Things even more simpler to use. In fact, all the connections will be done entirely automatic, and thus completing our entire platform of Line Things. And so to conclude, I'd like to share with you a quick video.
It's fun shopping for things. A printer, a cool new smart fridge, a robot vacuum cleaner. But do you find it tedious to download, configure, and keep up with each app on your phone? The more you buy, the more apps you have. Now you can pull it all together using Line to control everything. Line Things uses Internet of Things technology to make your life simpler. It reduces the need to work with separate apps and takes care of setup. But the coolest thing? It works by chatting to you, the things in your home, and things out and about. So you can wake up to a lovely message. Pop to the gym and get a motivational message from Line Things. Great news. At work, your home aircon system might contact you. so you can stay in control wherever you are. Bought something new? Just plug it in. And it's set up and added to your Line Things system. Now you can keep everything together and make controlling the things in your life as easy as chatting to friends. Line Things.
So I hope you all are as excited as we are about Line Things, and we can't wait to see what you can make with Line Things. Thank you very much.